Hello, this is D-Rex of Pyromaniac.com, and this is the Kevin Kolb 2010 Fantasy Outlook video. I'm out on the middle of the lake in Long Lake, Michigan today, enjoying the summer while we have it, and I thought I'd do this video on this newcomer for the Philadelphia Eagles while on a boat. I'm on a boat! I mean, basically you've got a legend, probably the best quarterback ever in the history of the Philadelphia Eagles, in Donovan McNabb, getting traded to the Washington Redskins, and a no-namer named Kevin Kolb, who's got in his entire career 79 completions out of 130 passes for 885 yards, 4 TDs, 7 interceptions. Those are his career numbers, replacing him. A surefire Hall of Famer, a guy that the Eagles took with their second overall pick back in '98, getting replaced by this green quarterback. I guess it really does say something with the Bleeding Green Nation of Philadelphia. To compare those stats I just read off, the NFL career stats for Kevin Kolb, let me give you Donovan McNabb's career stats. He's got 2,801 career completions. He's got 32,873 yards. Wow, that's a big difference. 216 TDs. That's instead of 4. And those numbers just dwarf the newcomer. But the newcomer's a gamer, and you just don't know. So let's not draw the comparisons too much and think that Kolb is like Ricky Schroeder replacing Sipowicz on NYPD Blue or something. Give a shout out to Dennis Franz, Maywood, Chicago in the house. Kolb's a real tough dude. He's like Favre in many ways. They're both hunters. They're both backwoods boys. They're both Southern boys. Kolb's from Texas. Likes to hunt wild hogs and kill them with 12-inch Bowie knives. He's a badass dude. His teammates love him. But the real reason to go to like Kolb is pretty easy. You know, they took him as a second-round pick while having McNabb in the same draft that Jamarcus Russell, R.I.P., with the purple drank boy that just got arrested and probably will never see the NFL again, reasonably so. He will be broke, down and out, and R.I.P. Jamama Russell. He actually was taken after Brady Quinn as well. I think it looks like Kolb's going to be the best quarterback from this draft class. Things that you got to really consider with the Eagles are the last time they ranked outside the league's top 10 in passing attempts was 2003, so they like to chuck the ball. He probably has the fastest offensive weapons in the league at his disposal, with Deshaun Jackson, who's just a lightning bolt. Jerry Rice called him the fastest receiver he's ever seen. They worked with each other before last season. Rice and Deshaun Jackson, D-Jack as they like to call him. Our profile character has him as a bunny rabbit. He's just lightning. But prior to last season, Jerry Rice and him were working out, and we saw how Deshaun resulted last year. So he's got him. You got Macklin, who was a first-round pick, and who I think should have been, second wide receiver taken behind Crabtree, but he's in that Crabtree level. Hayward Bay should have never gone before Macklin. He was awesome at Missouri. I mean, that guy every Saturday was just putting up electric numbers, both from reverses, the return game, catching passes. He was awesome. He made Daniel Chase look like just a total beast. So you got D-Jack, you got Macklin. They've got a fast as hell running back in McCoy. He's green as well. Now that they got rid of Westbrook, he's not a proven back, but he's fast as hell. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. They've got a great tight end in Brent Selleck. Last year, he was one of our featured type tight ends based on scoring and having big weeks, I think 3 or 4 times. So he had some great weeks last year, and that's definitely something to consider. Kevin Kolb, his first 2 games as a starter, his first game he had 391 yards passing. His second one was 327. So this guy can get it done. He can really pass the hell out of the ball, and that's why we really like him. he's not in that elite crew, of course, but in about a year from now, he could be a top 5 QB. So, at college, he played at Houston, and that's kind of an air-it-out system that sometimes works with the players and sometimes doesn't. But while at Houston, he basically was one of the only 4 players in Division I ball to have a 400-yard passing game and 100 yards rushing in the same game. So this guy's an athlete. He can run with the ball. He can toss the ball. I kind of liken him to an Aaron Rodgers in that way, where Aaron Rodgers is a supreme athlete, and if there's nothing there, he can pull it up under and he can run with it. I think that'll yield a few Kolb rushing TDs when things break down in the red zone. I think Kolb can rush for it, and he's a bigger dude, so I think he could definitely, bigger dude at 6'3", 218 pounds. I think he's going to be able to score some TDs. Some things to consider about his team. His O-line rankings against the run, the Eagles were ranked with the Pyro offensive line ranking system, number 14, which is middle road, and their pass rank is number 21, which is in the lower half. But nothing really to consider. I think this team's still running that West Coast offense, and that Reed likes, and they get rid of the ball sooner than later, and there's a lot of big play opportunities. So Kolb, if you're in a league that rewards for long touchdowns, great player. I hope the audio is not getting overrun by that lawnmower in the background, but we'll make do, and I'll talk a little bit louder. So in the playoffs, if you've got him on your team and you make the fantasy playoffs, week 14 he plays against Dallas. That could be a shootout. Week 15, he plays against the New York Giants, who I think are an overrated team in general. Week 16, he plays against Minnesota. It's not such an easy schedule, those 3 games. Week 17, don't have your championship game in Week 17. That's a mistake. But if you do, and you haven't learned and been bit by that yet, they play Dallas again. I think that game, the Dallas game, is going to be a shootout. With Romo and Kolb both having big games. So week 1 of the playoffs, week 2 of the playoffs, week 3 of the playoffs, however you do your league, I think the schedule is pretty favorable. So there you have it. Overall, really like Kolb. He's a tough dude. His whole team, when they traded McNabb, Deshaun Jackson came up and said, probably just for media attention, but said, hey, we don't feel like we lost that much. Kolb had 2 huge games when he was a starter last year. His entire career numbers obviously are dwarfed by McNabb, but that's going to happen. McNabb's played a ton of games. You've got Mike Vick, who they're considering dropping altogether from the team as his backup. So you've got nothing to worry about in that regard. Kolb's a good quarterback. If you're sitting there and you want to wait on the QBs a little bit, he's high risk, high reward. The guy's a beast. So that's it for Kevin Kolb. We are launching later this weekend the Fantasy Football Pharmacy. We're absolutely ecstatic about it. We're populating the site now. We think it's going to change the fantasy football landscape. The design is sharp. The concept is 3-tiered. No one else is doing this. We've got some of the greatest minds in fantasy football answering your questions directly and doing things of that nature. And it's really going to be exciting. So stick with us. We'll help you win your fantasy football league, and hope you're out on get to enjoy your summer and get out on the lake or experience nature like I'm doing. And thank you very much.